Yes, UCF at home, 2-point home favorite over under 56, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. I love UCF here. I just am not. I talked about this last week when I had SMU. Now, granted, I got lucky in that game. Cincy should have covered. The factor that I didn't take into account enough was the wind, which obviously hurts SMU much more than Cincinnati. But there were still some issues with Cincy that game, and I just haven't been impressed with them all year. I talked. You could play the clip from last week, like they couldn't put like Indiana away. They were struggling with Miami of Ohio and their backup quarterback, and these are bad teams. Could have lost to USF at home, and they have issues like the penalties and the offensive line. These are things that they didn't deal with last year, and they're correlated because a lot of these are pre-snap penalties, and their offensive line, they were supposed to return all 5 stars, supposed to be the strength of the offense. But then they had injuries in the preseason, another injury. This year they've been shifting guys around. Now you're going to the bounce house with all that noise. I think penalties are going to be more of a problem. And look, they faced a bunch of poor rush offenses. SMU, Tulsa, Indiana, Miami, Ohio are poverty rush offenses. The 2 rush offenses that rank at the top 30, South Florida and Arkansas, each ran for 225, 5 yards per clip. Well, UCF ranks in the top 20 nationally in yards per carry, EPA per rush success rate. Everything starts on the ground with them. That's why I faded them to ECU, because ECU's run defense has been elite. That's not necessarily the case with Cincinnati this year. They do get after the quarterback at an elite level, but I think that Plumlee can use their aggressiveness against them here. And I'm not sure that Cincy's pass attack, which their leading receiver was in a boot last week, and Scott, it really lacks explosiveness this year. I don't think they can really exploit UCF's weaker pass defense. So, I think this is a bounce back spot in the bounce house, favorable situational spot and matchup, in my opinion. And by the way, I mentioned Dykes' record when ranked on the road against unranked teams. He's the least profitable the last 40 years. The second least profitable, Luke Fickell, 1-8 against the spread, failing to cover by 8 points per game. I think this is a great spot to back UCF. I think Cincy is yet to be exposed, but they're about to be. UCF gets its revenge from the past 2 seasons' losses. What do you got here?
I'm on the fence on this because I don't want to lay points with UCF. I mean, I could find a money line out there. There are things that bother me with UCF. I mean, I agree with everything that you said. It's a really great spot. Cincinnati has not played, even Fickell said this, we have not played in a hostile environment since week 1 against Arkansas. Since he's dead last in penalties. I'm not trying to back a road team that's dead last in penalties. Go into a hostile environment. It's just not a good formula whatsoever. So there's a little bit of hesitation with me laying points. Laying points is really kind of what's got me here. I mean, UCF's second leading target, wide receiver Javon Baker, he's been limited. He just had 1 target last week. Malzahn says it's day to day. That guy has 2.6 yards per route run. So when Plumlee does decide to throw, that is the weapon that he really needs when he decides to kind of get away from the ground game. And Fickell acknowledged in his presser that it was the zone and the man coverage mix from down to down against Plumlee that really confused him. And they're going to try to do the same thing. So, at least from that standpoint, Fickell thinks that he can confuse Plumlee enough to get some turnovers. And Fickell, said that, we played KJ Jefferson really well. We played Gary Bohannon really well. And that's going to help us with Plumlee. But in my opinion, that's completely different quarterbacks.
Yeah, way different.
I don't think that really matches. And then you're looking at Tyler Scotty leads Cincy in targets, and he's hopeful to return, but he was in a boot last week. So, if he's not available for Cincinnati and Javon Baker is available for UCF, then that could convince me to play UCF. It's UCF or nothing here. I just cannot get over since he's dead last in penalties and they haven't been in a hostile environment since week 1. So, definitely here rolling with Malzahn, Springdale, Arkansas zone.
Yeah, it's all about Gus this weekend. I love UCF. One of my favorite bets of the weekend.